wins to start this three-game set. With the red-hot Freddie Garcia taking the hill today, Ozzie is hoping for the trifecta before heading out on a 7-game road trip. It's Kids Day here at the park, and White Sox baseball coming up next. From USA LaField in the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's Paul Konerko, Alex Rios, Carlos Quentin, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Freddie Gonzalez, Florida Marlins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set. As you know, the Sox have taken the first two. In the opener, Sox shut them out 8-0. Mark Burley was just brilliant. Only time the Marlins have been shut out this year. Then yesterday, after the first couple innings, Gavin Floyd settled in, and he was just outstanding. Sox won at 4-1. Alex Rios picking up 3 RBIs. So the Sox trying for the sweep with Freddie Garcia.
Freddie Garcia has been throwing the ball exceptionally well, and when you consider he's the 5th starter and realize that he's 3-2, and that only twice has he really had bad ball games, you'll realize just how valuable Freddie's been. And he's going to have to be very good today because Josh Johnson's going to the mound for the Marlins. He's their best. He's 4-1. His ERA 2.68. The league is hitting under 200 against him. And his king-size right-hander has just about everything you'd need to be the ace of the staff. He is just that. But the Sox are going for the sweep. And on a red-hot day, it's going to be a very lively ballpark today.
Don't get into the temperature again. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Play so far, not much to choose from as far as the records are concerned. They're 14-14. Now the batting average very much on the side of the American League. The home runs, same. Stolen bases, equal. But look at the difference in ERA. Almost a full point difference, and yet a dead tie after 2. take a look at how the Florida Marlins are going to line up. They're 22-22 after losing the first 2 games of this series. It's going to be Chris Coghlan leading it off, then Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez, who struggled in this series, Cantu, Ugla, Ross, Helms, Ronnie Polino getting the nod behind the plate, and Brett Carroll. We haven't seen him in this series. Jimmy John's defense and how they'll line up behind Freddie Garcia, left to right, Pierre Rios and Quinton. In the infield, Tian Ramirez, Beckham and Konerko. A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate, and the Toyota starting pitcher is Freddie Garcia. Freddie on for his 8th start. He's 3-2, the ERA of 4.50. He's thrown the ball very well, and for a 5th starter, he's been surprisingly good against the tougher teams he's faced. The game conditions today, 86 degrees with 63% humidity, the wind out of the south, 10 to 15 miles an hour. It is sunny and it is warm and likely to get a little bit warmer. The umpires for the game today, Adrian Johnson behind the plate, Tim McClellan at first base, Mike Everett at second, and Andy Fletcher is at third. So they throw the ball around the infield, and we get ready to try to sweep the Marlins, but we've got to get by their ace to do it. And I'll turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Hawk Harrelson.
All right, Stone Pony, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over Comcast Sportsnet. Finale of this homestand. And so happy you could join us. Left fielder Chris Coghlan stands in, hitting at .219, a couple of homers. He's driven in 11, takes first pitch high. 24-year-old. Outfielder, last year's National League Rookie of the Year, 0 for 8 in this series. There's a high chopper. Freddie's got plenty of time. 2 pitches, 1 out.
It's a good man to keep off base because what little running attack these Marlins have, Coghlan is the leader.
That'll bring up the first baseman, Gabby Sanchez. Hitting at .268, 4 homers. He's driven in 18. Sanchez, 1 for 8 in the series.
Florida came in tied for second place. They're now tied for third or fourth, depending on your perspective, with Washington.
Well, the Marlins lead the National League with a .543 percentage in interleague play. As there's a sharp single to right field. He just reaches out and smokes that one.
There you look at the standings, and the Marlins tied with the surprising Nationals, who are going to get a big lift probably the second week of June as they bring up Steven Strasburg. They've already brought up Drew Storn, who was their second first-round draft choice in last year's draft. But Strasburg has not given up a run in AAA in 3 starts. They're just waiting for the clock so that they don't bring him up and rush him into arbitration and free agency.
Here's Hanley Ramirez, the shortstop, last year's National League batting champion. He hit .342, 24 homers, and drove in 106 in 09. Outfield around to the right, gap out there in left center. And there's a strike. And here at beautiful U.S. Cellular Field, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straightaway center.
One very soft hit for Ramirez in this series, but he's still a scary hitter. This guy's very strong.
Well, he has a career high 33 homers, set a couple of years ago. And the count moves to 2-1.
Most hits since 07. Ichiro at the top, Derek Jeter second, Hanley Ramirez on top of Miguel Cabrera and Matt Holliday on that list. Pretty good hitters there.
Ball smoked past 10. So that'll be a double for Ramirez, and trouble brewing right here in the top of the first inning.
8th double of the year for Hanley Ramirez. Freddie tries to get this one low and away. Instead, it's up and out over the plate. It's a one-hop rocket that eats up T. He had very little chance on that one as the ball's hit awfully hard. And then, of course, they are going to run on Juan Pierre. So Freddie in a jam here in the first.
And here's Jorge Cantu, the cleanup hitter, the DH. That is fouled out of play. Cantu, a little experience swing right there. Infield playing back. All you can do is hit the ball. You got a big hole over there on the right side.
Well, he also realizes that the ground ball gets home a run as Ozzy's playing the infield back to stay out of the big inning.
That's why it's an experienced swing. There's a hanger. Juan can't get it off the bottom of the fence. So they're going to hold now Ramirez at third, and it's a 1-0 Marlin lead on the double by Cantu.
Talking to Freddie Gonzalez, the skipper of this Marlin team before the series, he was talking about Jorge Cantu and his ability to drive home some big runs. And here's an example of it. He leads the team now with 33, and an ominous beginning for Freddie.
This is an aggressive hitting ball club. Anything off speed upstairs, you're in trouble.
And left to their own devices, they're not going to take a whole lot of pitches. And that played right into the hands of Mark Burley. Of course, Gavin Floyd had a remarkable day with good stuff from the beginning. But Freddie struggling early.
Two and 0 the count.
How about those percentages? 9 for 9.
And there's the strike, so the count 2-1.
Driving home a run from third base. 9 opportunities for Dan Ugley. He's been successful 9 times with less than 2 outs.
3-1. Well, Freddie has had good success in early play. He's 7-1 in his last 10 starts, and overall against interleague competition, he is 19-7.
He's got to be careful not to let the Marlins get too far out because of Josh Johnson.
Ground ball, T-in. Goes over to first base. Ramirez scores, and it's 2-0.
And now Ugley is 10 for 10 in a department that just about every hitter takes a great deal of pride. And that is driving home a man from third base with less than 2 outs. RBI number 29 for Dan Ugley.
Cody Ross with 2 out, and Cantu at third. Ross hitting at .298, a couple of homers. He's driven in 21. Outfield to the right, gap out there in left center, and he got a cookie and was just too quick on it.
But he starts him out with what looks like a slider, but doesn't do much. Ross got it just off the end of the bat.
And there's one outside. So 1-1 to count. Wes Helms on deck. Two and 1. Got another cookie right there and took it.
This ball up and out of the strike zone. There's a lot of guys that would have
Come
jumped
out of
on
the
that.
shoes.
and tried to drill it
Come
into the bullpen
of their shoes and their athletic supporter. Got another one, and that's going to be out of play. So Freddie's going to have to get the ball down
and make it break a little bit.
Yeah, it's just spinning up there now.
We're ready to deliver pitch number 21.
And that's it deep. Got another cookie. He got 4 cookies in that at bat right there, and finally hits it out, and it's 4-0 Marlins.
Well, we talked to you about the stuff that Freddie's featuring here in the first inning, and it's not good. Home run number 3, RBIs 22 and 23. And the Marlins, who were frustrated with only 1 run in 2 games coming into this, have jumped on the Sox with a 4 spot here in the first.
Well, you touched on it a second ago. The problem is they got their ace going as well.
Yeah, Johnson has the league batting under 200 against him. He's 4-1.
Saw a game, Boston playing the Yankees in the stadium. As that pitch is into right center field off the bat of Helms, but some damage is done. A single, a couple of doubles, a 2-run homer, and after half inning of play, we trail it 4-0.
Rios, Canerco, Kotze, who's swinging the bat a little bit better. Carlos Quinton, who's definitely swinging it better. Martin, Alexei Ramirez, Gordon Beckham, hitting 9th and playing second base. Jimmy John's defense and Halbell set up behind Johnson. Coghlan, Ross, and Carroll left to right. Helms, Ramirez, Uglin, Sanchez. Paulino behind the plate. And the Toyota starting pitcher is Josh Johnson. Making his 10th start, he's completed 1. He's 4-1 this year. Spectacular 2.68 ERA. Only 39 hits in 57 innings, and this guy can get it up there.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as a big 6'7" right-hander out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Misses with the first pitch. And that's out of play left side. Sox come in at 130 and 101 in interleague play. That is 3rd best in the big leagues, behind the Yankees and Minnesota. Ramirez, the shortstop. 1 out.
Johnson has 2 kinds of fastballs. He's got a good 2-seamer, which has a tendency to sink and run. That's going to get him some ground balls. He also has a big 4-seamer that's 95-96. He couples that, in fact, last time he rediscovered a straight change and used it very effectively.
So here's AJ hitting at 220, a couple of homers. He's driven in 13. He was 1 for 4 in the opening game, did not play yesterday, and he has faced Johnson 3 times, and he has 3 hits. Ergo, the Senators picked a clip.
Well, I just figured that although some would say that he might be due for a tough at bat, I'm thinking he sees the ball pretty well against the big guy.
And let's check out those picks to click. Jim Angio, our director in the crew, went with Konerko, and there you see Steve. He's going with A.J. Pierzynski, and Jim and Kathy Canatero and I, we're going to go with Carlos Quinn.
All this research has worked out very well for me, as you can see.
And that's out number 2.
Yes, sir. 12, 5, and a measly 3
for the Senators.
He's in a tough year.
All right, Rodney.
I had to call in the pinch picker.
Here's Alex. He has really been swinging the bat well. 3 for 7 in this series with a homer and 3 RBIs. That coming yesterday. And if you missed that home run yesterday, poof.
This was a bomb. And Alex has just been swinging the bat from the first day of this season till this very day, better than anybody on the ball club.
That's inside, and the count 2-1. Yeah, he has hit into the toughest luck without question of anybody on the team. There's a shot, base hit. Get by.
The one thing that the Sox do not want to do is run on a right fielder that they haven't seen before, and that's Brett Carroll. This one to Coughlin, he gets to it, gets the ball back in after bobbling it, but their right fielder has a rocket for an arm. Could very well have the best arm in the National League and as good as anybody in baseball.
Here's Polly. Polly at 268, 14 homers, 31 knocked in. Those 14 lead the major leagues. He's 3 for 8 in the series, and he has faced Johnson twice. He's 0 for 2. Left-handed hitters hitting just 147 against Johnson. Right-handed hitters hitting at 245. So I'll tell you, he's got a pretty good changeup. And there's a solid smash for a base hit. So now one swing of the bat, and we're right back in this Wago. Back to Sox. In the last 13 games, we've led in 12 of them, including all 6 on the last road trip. But we have not been good at holding a lead.
But we can also get them on, and at times have some problems getting them in.
Well, in our 24 losses, 14 of them have come after we've had the lead in that ball game. 14 of the 24. That's not good. Strike on the outside corner to Kotze, who just looks back at Adrian Johnson. Mark 3 for 8 with a homer in the series.
Mark has been a pull hitter. And if he does get a base hit to right, Alex better get a big secondary lead at second, and he's doing just that.
Change up. Talking to broadcaster Tommy Hutton, former player, said at times Johnson's changeup is as good as it gets.
Especially as hard as he throws, you have to respect the fastball, and you're not really looking for the change.
He is in command of the count at 1-2. So 2 on, 2 out, 1-2 the count. Here in the bottom of the first, and we trail it already 4-0.
Look at that disparity. You realize he got off to the slow start, but Last 5 starts, he's been very tough.
That's off the plate. Count evens at 2-2.
Johnson, a 4th-round pick way back in 2002. So he's been in the organization for a while.
Yeah, he's only 26. And a full count with Carlos Quentin on deck. Long look in at the sign at Ronnie Paulino. Now accepts. And the payoff pitch. He did not go. Got to load him up for Quentin.
When they do hit you with a 4 spot in the first inning, it's best to come back and get something up on that board. And Carlos Quentin has been swinging the bat very well and using right and right center field effectively.
Carlos at 223, 4 homers, but he's driven in 24. He's 4 for 8 in this series. That breaking ball popped up right side. Sanchez is there, so he pitches out of the bases loaded situation, and after 1, it is 4-0 bad guy.
Text A, B, C, or D to 53695. Message and data rates apply. Stick around for the White Sox postgame live for the final results, or visit csnchicago.com.
And we're going to have 3 in Cleveland and 4 in Tampa Bay. Youngsters having a good time on that bouncy mattress.
Tampa Bay, who's having a great year, they're 31-12, have one oddity, and that is they're 18-5 on the road. They're better on the road than they are at home, and they're not bad at home.
1-1 to count to Ronnie Paulino, hitting at 280, a couple of homers. He's driven in 12. 4-0 Marlins. And the count 1-2. Paulino 2 for 2 lifetime off Garcia.
cues that one foul, so the count hangs at 2-2. Milwaukee leading Minnesota 1-0 early in that ball game.
Yesterday was a heartbreaker if you wanted Milwaukee to win. Game went into extra innings and Minnesota won it late.
Well, that's another issue that we have to aspire to. Is that Minnesota will play an awful lot of extra inning ball games.
Well, John Roush gave up 4 in the 9th.
And that's way back. It's 5-0. Freddie not throwing a lot up there today.
No, I'm not sure he's going to hang around too long in this one. And even though without an off day, you're going on the road for 7. Freddie is really scuffling. 3rd home run, 13th driven in. It's 5-0. 2 doubles, 2 home runs, and a single greeted Freddie in this one. Paulino, who doesn't hit a real good fastball, doesn't have to because this is another roller.
And here's Brett Carroll. Hitting at 220, a couple of homers. He's driven in 7. Last year hit 234, 3 homers, and knocked in 18 for the Marlins. That's foul back, and you can visit the official online shop of the White Sox. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source. Shop at WhiteSox.com. And the count 1-2.
Carroll's one of those guys that doesn't hit the real good fastball. But for Freddie Gonzalez, he felt that maybe he would run into something from Garcia, who usually is not an overpowering guy.
And that high breaking pitch is chopped foul. And another souvenir right side. In case you missed some of the action yesterday, did not see the scores. Cincinnati beat Cleveland 6-4. Colorado over Kansas City 3-0. And as Steve mentioned, Minnesota in 12 innings beat the Brew Crew 8-7. Oakland got an unearned run of Matt Cain and shut out San Francisco for 1-0. Gio Gonzalez, the winner. Bailey the save. San Diego beat Seattle 2-1.
That was Clayton Richard net.
Clayton Richard over Ian Snell. Heath Bell picked up his 12th save. And the Cubs in 10 innings beat the Rangers 5-4. Marshall over O'Day. And once again, ball hit down, picked up, and throw him out. Yeah, nice play.
That was a great play by Martin. He saves a 2-base hit, gets up quickly, and pours it across. From well into foul territory, he was able to nip Carroll by about a half step at first.
Here's Chris Coghlan. A little nubber over towards the first baseline. Freddie got it. He easily tossed him out. Other action in interleague play. Arizona beat the Blue Jays 8-5. Tampa Bay over Houston 4-2. Second day in a row the Dodgers beat the Tigers. This time it was a 6-4 score. That was Eli over Galarraga. John Eli, former Sox farmhand.
And the Dodgers have won 9 of their last 10. They're in a dead even tie with San Diego for the top spot in the NL West.
Two out. And the Nasty Nats keep rolling as they beat Baltimore 7-6. Mets beat the Yankees 5-3 at City Park. Boston shuts out the Phillies 5-0. Matsusaka almost got himself a no-hitter in that ball game.
Just a little looper right over Scudero's head as the first hit in the 8th.
And that'll do it, but the home run by Ronnie Paulino after an inning and a half, not good. Got a whole lot of work to do against a pretty good pitcher.
Well, we got a shot at Johnson in the first inning, but unfortunately couldn't cash it in. So it's a long way to come back. But the way the Sox have been swinging the bats, you'd like to get to this guy before he really gets his rhythm.
Mark Tien will lead it off. It'll be the lower third of our order. Tien, Ramirez, and Beckham. Maybe we got Johnson right where we want him. You know, pitching with a big lead right here in the second inning.
Overconfident?
Could be. But I was getting ready to say the last inning that I saw a game in Yankee Stadium. Roger Clemens was with the Red Sox. The Red Sox came out in the top of the first and scored 8 runs. Clemens goes to the mound as there's a little chopper to Hopper. Sanchez will take it himself. Goes to the mound in the bottom of the first with an 8-run lead and never got out of the second inning.
It can happen.
And this is when Roger was Roger. So here is Alexei hitting at .238, 3 homers. He's driven in 19. Takes first pitch strike. Alexei 2 for 7 with a homer and 5 RBIs. All coming in game 1. Sox won it 8-0 behind Mark Burley. Mark's 20th interleague victory. And that was the first time and only time that the Marlins have been shut out this year.
Johnson
almost got shut out yesterday.
Scored 1 run in 2 days, but have made up for it here in the first 2 innings. Johnson played little basketball like Chris Volstead, who was 6'8", Johnson 6'7".
And count 2-2. What was the biggest lead you blew?
I remember being up 5 or 6 against the Angels in Anaheim.
Chopper. Ramirez almost misplayed it. Meanwhile, 2 down.
My team went on to score 14 that day. I went on to not make it through the 5th inning, so I did not qualify for the win as they pounded away at Angel pitching. And you sit back there when you have that kind of lead, and you know your team is in high gear because you're in their bullpen already early, and you just can't get out of that 5th.
Here's Beckham. I know that Gordon Jr., which is our Gordon's dad, as he is the 3rd, and Sully and Gwen and Grace are all looking in today. Gordon said he'd just like to find some, on a beautiful day like this here in a beautiful city, some green grass.
Well, he's been hitting the ball to left field with authority at times.
Yeah, but right at the left field.
Yeah, that's not good. There's been a guy there for many years.
And then he hit one to center field real hard the other day. Meanwhile, he was very instrumental in that victory yesterday. Single to start off the 3rd, stole a base. Good base running play, moved in the 3rd. And then scored on the 2-out single by Rios. That made it 1-0. And then he was hit by a pitch leading off the 5th. And then with 2 outs, scored on the 2-run homer by Rios. So Gordon with a couple of runs scored. And there's a shot. That a boy. That's going to find some green grass for Gordon Jr., Sully, Gwen, and Grace.
Well, Greg Walker has said any number of times that Gordon has a swing that isn't too complicated, and he has no doubt that eventually he's going to figure it out. This probably was one of the few times in his career anywhere that he's gone through protracted struggles. But he'll come out of it because he's a good player.
And there is a base hit. Carroll's going to get to it, cuts it off. Now bobbles it. Now they're going to hold him at 3rd. As Carroll bobbled it, but came up with a perfect throw to the relay man. And with a decent throw home, Gordon would have been a gone goose.
Well, we talked about the guy you don't want to run on. That's Brett Carroll. And even though he does bobble it, Jeff Cox has seen, I'm sure, the scouting report saying that this would be the last guy you want to challenge. He gets a throw in on the fly to the 2nd of 2 cutoff men. And it would have proved effective enough to end the inning, which you don't want to do 5 runs down.
No. Well, a good call by Jeff Cox. And here is A.J. Well, Gordon's problems are not with his swing. They're between the ears.
It's usually the case with
about
a lot of players.
100% of the time.
100% of the players. But the one thing that he doesn't have to fall back on, which a lot of guys who've been around for a while have, is they've gone through it and come out of it. When Gordon comes through the other side of this, as he will, he'll be a better player for having gone through these struggles.
Well, they call it experience. And experience is something that you got when you didn't want to get it. In other words, the only way you can get experience is by failing. If Gordon Beckham was the only thing we had to worry about, we would be in Jim Dandy shape.
Well, going to Cleveland, a team that has 2 of their better players on the disabled list, as Jubal Cabrera and Grady Sizemore. We should be okay in that series. And then we battled Tampa last year down in Tampa to a standstill.
Ground ball to shortstop. Ramirez up with it, and another. But we have stranded 5 in the first 2 innings and have not dented home plate and trail it 5-0.
Well, I would love to tell you about it. This is one of the best days that baseball has. White Sox do a terrific job of supporting foster families with Children's Home and Aid. We have over 800 kids in foster care, and because baseball is a great family sport, this is a great way to get families involved in fostering kids, supporting kids who are in foster care, and we really appreciate what Paul and Jen Konerko, their family, which is absolutely phenomenal, as well as Gordon Beckham stepping up to the plate to be a part of Foster Family Day at the Park for Children's Home and Aid.
And Jennifer, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this.
My parents have adopted several kids over the years. This is one of them, Emma, right here. She's my sister. So Paul and I, in Jim and Andrea Tomey, 4 seasons ago, got going on this, and we had Gordon join on this year because Jim and Andrea are not here anymore. But over the past 4 seasons, we've raised almost $250,000, $245,000 to be exact. And basically, we're trying to recruit and educate and just raise awareness about foster families and foster kids in need.
Tell us a little bit about how our fans can get involved with this wonderful plan.
I would love to. There are so many ways you can help foster kids. You can advocate. You can be a foster parent. You can be a mentor. You can make a donation to Children's Home and Aid, and that's www.childrenshomeandaid.org, and go to the Bring Me Home campaign button on our website, and you can become involved in a lot of ways. Our kids need volunteer help. They need tutors. They need mentors. They need people to really stand up for them and care. And they need families, permanent families, loving adopted families, or they need to go home to their families once their own families have overcome the problems that brought them into foster care.
Well, it's nice of you to come up. It's a wonderful situation, a wonderful organization, and the White Sox have always been very good as far as the kids are concerned. So
fantastic.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
1-1 the count to Jorge Cantu with 1 out. Thanks, Jen. See y'all later. Bye. 2-1 the count. They have 5 runs and stranded none. We have stranded 5 and have no runs. Something's wrong with that picture. The 2-1. Cantu just hit one foul in that terrace suite up there.
Here's where you have to be careful with him because you're well behind in the count.
Big hat. No contact. Full count. Just tuning in, 4 in the first for the Marlins, 1 in the second. And that's a chop foul.
We'll send along birthday greetings to Michael Ruby, celebrating a birthday of indeterminate age.
Indeed. Happy birthday, Michael.
Father encouraging him to eventually graduate from school, so
don't believe that is cold. And that is ball 4. That is cold. He's a nice young man with great aspirations, a lot of motivation, and you're casting aspersions.
And tremendous amount of education at this point, and a number of different places. But he's going to get out here very shortly.
Oh, that's terrible. Here's Ugla. He grounded to third, knocked in a run, his 29th back in the first inning. And Stone pointing out would be remiss unless we gave out a big shout out and thank you to 11-year-old Kate Wiles on just a fantastic rendition of our national anthem.
She's got a great voice. Just a great voice.
Wow.
11 years old.
It's high and wide, 1-1.
I'd like to see her somewhere along the line pick up that Menards theme from you.
Save big money at Menards.
That's the one.
Is that a Boney Maroney?
Well, or the national anthem.
Well, I know the national anthem.
Yeah.
Those are only 2 songs, 3 songs I know. Save big money at Menards. Outfield about equidistant straight up. I love Menards.
Well, you get so many good things there.
Everything. Everything that you want.
Well, between Menards and Home Depot, they have gigantic stores of which I know how to use nothing they have personally.
Ditto. I just take the list that Harris gives me and go pick it up. That's in the dirt.
Once again, Freddie falls behind 3-1 to a dangerous hitter.
Ugla had a couple of just cookies in his first at bat, and Cody Ross, the on deck hitter, had 4. And there is another one out of here, and it is 7-0.
Hard to believe that Dan Ugla, who is a diminutive fellow but very strong, in the history of this game, for second baseman, the quickest to 100 home runs.
That's impressive.
And he's working on that second 100 as we speak. A no-doubter, his 12th. He's got 31 driven in, and he's become a prolific run producer. 12 behind 3-1, and you throw one there, it's going to go a long way on a very lively day at the ballpark.
And here comes Coop. Well, this is a game right here. We're getting ready to go on a seven-day road trip. 3 in Cleveland. They have beaten us 5 times this year, but they have 3 real good players in that club, and 2 of them are going to be sitting the series out. Sizemore and Cabrera. I wish that Shin Sin Chu could sit it out, but that'd be asking too much. And then we have 4 down in Tampa Bay, so this might be a good day right here, just letting Freddie eat some innings.
Well, you don't want to decimate the bullpen. I mean, that's one thing you don't want to do. It's not a bad day to get guys work if they're going to go an inning or whatever the case may be. But to see Freddie exit this early is something that Ozzie just not want to do. So
no.
Freddie's now got to get some outs. Now he's pitching to save the bullpen as much as anything else. But some days, try as you might, you just don't have it.
Freddie has been super consistent. This is his 8th start, and he has had, coming into the day, of the first 7, he has had 5 outstanding starts.
What a lot of people don't know is about the 5th starter. They did a study, a 5-year study on him. And this was from 01 to 05. A 5-year study on 5th starters. They averaged 6.4 wins and 8.6 losses. So with Freddie with 3 wins already, and bearing in mind he is the number 5 starter on this team, he's better than most teams' number 5.
As he walks, Cody Ross, who hit that 2-run homer. Cody, as I mentioned, had 4 hangers in the previous at bat, hit the 4th one out of here.
Now you got an inviting double play target. AJ's going out there just to kill some time for Scott Linebrink to get loose in case Freddie can't get out of this inning. Nobody's more frustrated than Freddie, who last inning grabbed the rosin bag, fired it to the ground, realizing that today was just not going to be his day.
Well, you've been out there and had the same feeling. The bullpen, your Baltimore bullpen or your White Sox bullpen needed a rest. This is not the case so much in today with Freddie. But you've been out there when all of a sudden the main thing on your mind was going out there and getting innings in and winning a ball game, but getting innings in.
Well, you had to protect the pen because for whatever reason, you know, depending on what happened the last 3 days, you might have the guys who use in winning games are just, they're too tired to pitch.
And it just didn't work out for them.
Burley went 8 and Santos went 1 the first game of the series, and yesterday Floyd went 6 in the 3rd. And Thornton puts Santos and Jenks wrapped it up, and Bobby was just brilliant.
Well, there's a base hit back to the middle. Cody Ross now is going to pull up.
And you mentioned, Hawk, that, I mean, you watched him in the last couple of years. You mentioned how good he was throwing.
Well, I'll tell you, as Ozzie comes out, he's going to make the call right here. So the bullpen is in for a lot of work today. So Freddie, who has been probably the best fifth starter in all of baseball this year, didn't have it today. He departs, and we'll be back. Coverage begins at 5:30 with Philco White Sox pregame live. White Sox Indians Tuesday at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet Plus, fans' best friend.
Here's our Lexus Pursuing Perfection call to the pen. We're feeling it won't be the last. But in this case, it's going to be Scott Linebrink. He comes in at 1-0. ERA just below 4 on for the 13th time. He inherits Marlins at first and second. 7-7 for the Marlins in runs and hits to this point.
2 on, 1 out. Ronnie Paulino, who homered, takes first pitch strike. You know, yesterday was a very interesting day for me because very seldom after a ball game, whether you win or lose, most of the time it's when you lose, but after a ball game that we won 4-1, I'm driving home, and all of a sudden it hit me. That was one of the most impressive displays I have seen all year by our White Sox team in a 4-1 ball game. And where the big impression was is everything we brought out of the bullpen yesterday was unreal. I mean, the lowest was 95. That's probably the best stuff coming out of a bullpen when you're talking about. You got Matt Thornton coming in. Then you got J.J. Putz, Sergio Santos, and Bobby Jenks, who was throwing 98. Best he's thrown in 2 years. That was absolutely impressive. Now, if we can play baseball, because it's a battle of bullpens today, whoever has the best bullpen is probably going to win the division. But we have to start catching the baseball better.
Well, that's going to be of supreme importance, as is the guys that you choose to use when you're ahead and those guys that you use to eat up innings or when you're behind.
Look at Paulie Pickett. Get over there. Line is. And they turn it. Nice 3-6-1. Nice play by Paulie and Linebrink. And that'll do it. But they pick up 2 more after 2.5 at 7-0. Marlins. And a big round of applause for Master Sergeant James Pryan, one of our heroes, our men in uniform, and certainly our best wishes. Prayers go out to our men and women around the world in uniform protecting our country. Here's Alex. He just rifled, ripped, racky-tacked a single in the left field back in the first inning.
Very good before the game today on this beautiful Sunday to see the resplendent Bobby Bertucci come up to the booth, delivering some of his goodies.
There's a chopper. 1 out.
At U.S. Cellular Field on Monday, May 24th, which the way I figure it is tomorrow, they're going to play the Public League Championship with Taft against Whitney Young at 3 p.m. If you want to see that, tickets are $5 and they can be purchased at Gate 5 with free parking available in Lot B. So that should be a dandy tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Here's Pauly. Pauly ripped a single in the left field in the first fastball he saw from Josh Johnson. And count 1-1. A beautiful day here in the City Beautiful.
Well, once again, winter has turned into summer in a day.
The only thing bad is a score. Wouldn't be so bad if you had a third or a fourth guy out there, but when you got their number one, their ace, a little different story.
Well, we've had 2 shots at him in 2 innings. I mean, that's usually what you get in a ball game. And unfortunately,
that's the bad part about it.
You had your shots, and you couldn't really put them away or even put a dent in it.
Well, just turning in, we stranded the bases loaded in the first and 2 in the second. And here's a 1-out walk to Pauly. And a reminder, organize a group outing of 20 or more guests during the 2K10 season. You can purchase a block of tickets or enhance your outing with one of 6 great party areas. The more tickets you order, the more money you save. So call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. The Bertucci boys out there. They will take care of it.
You like interleague play?
I love it. I don't like it. I love it.
I feel the exact same way, and I think a lot of people who say that, well, it's served its purpose, and we should limit it to one series with just rivals or whatever the case may be. I think it's terrific. I think you get a chance to see teams you'd never get a chance to see, and stars you'd never get a chance to see live.
That is chopped foul. Yes, interleague play, and the fans love it. So that's all that counts.
And this is a terrific crowd here today.
Kotsay walked his first trip. Now you get a chance to go to the cities and have them come to your place so your fans can see, as you mentioned. Some of the guys they just read about. Of course, Chicago's a little different than being a 2-team city, as that's down low. But in other major league cities, they don't have an opportunity.
Well, we're getting a chance to go to Washington to see that brand new ballpark and to see a very surprising baseball team in the Washington Nationals.
There's a soft line drive. Not in time. 2 down.
Also going to Pittsburgh to see a beautiful ballpark. However, in a city that does not really back their baseball team because they've had 17 straight years under 500. You can understand where they lose the crowd a bit.
That's a great city.
We're going to see a terrific player in Andrew McCutchen, their center fielder. He's outstanding.
I love Pittsburgh.
I think Pittsburgh is a great city. The suburbs are outstanding.
I know when I played in Mario Lemieux's tournament there, and the CPT. That's actually as good, if not one of the top 2 or 3 events I've ever played in. The volunteers were just sensational. There's a line drive. It's going to hang up for Coughlin. He makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. We strand 1 this time. We have stranded 6 so far, but we trail at 7-0.
Here's our Home Depot doing more on defense, and it came off the bat of Brett Carroll back in the 2nd inning. Down the line, Martin in foul territory, guns it across and gets him by a half step. Excellent defense for the doing more on defense for Home Depot.
Brett Carroll can't get it. Seven, 7-0 for them, 0-4-0 for us.
I think I might want to stick with the high fastball where I got line break. He's going to be able to throw that fastball by Carroll.
He turned right into that one, hit himself. So the leadoff man aboard.
Looks like that got him on the right wrist, right forearm. If he's very lucky, he did catch it more on the forearm than the wrist, and it appears that he did. Doesn't hurt any less, but there's just more meat than bone.
So here's Chris Coughlin. He has grounded back to the pitcher, and he has grounded softly to second. Checks it up and takes high ball 1. Outfield for the most part straight up. Bit of a gap out there in left center. Tien well off the line at third. And there's the strike to even the count at 1. Carroll, pretty good lead. There he goes.
Can be a stolen bag. And I think that Carroll thought that it was a foul ball and started to head back to first. Now you can see he's going to steal this without a play as A.J. can't come up with a handle.
Well, if you would look in, you would see what's going on. And a lot of guys say the reason they don't look in, well, it slows me up.
Also might keep you out of a double play if a guy hits a line drive somewhere.
That's a lame reason right there. Well, it slows me up. Here's the 2-2. Milwaukee leading Minnesota 3-2. That game in the top of the fourth in Minneapolis.
Nice stop by A.J. because that ball could have easily gotten by him. Right off the shin guard. Finally located, but Carroll can't advance.
And the payoff pitch. And another souvenir. Cochran's 0 for 10 in this series, but he has had some good pitches to hit. He just not has put good swings on.
A lot of people point to a sophomore jinx. I don't necessarily believe in that at all. I think the league has made an adjustment to him. He hit .321 last year. He'll hit again.
He gone.
Scott throws a fastball right by him.
He's had a big swing in the last 3 games. He didn't hit .321 with that swing.
A little man with a big swing doesn't usually work out real well.
Big hat, no cattle.
That will happen on occasion.
There's Sanchez.
Odds were 4-1 that you would work that in today. Just wanted to let you know that.
The mayor, Mean Joe Group. Anything to upset him.
That's low. Sanchez singled and scored in the first. Popped up to Pauly in the second. And there's a strike. 2-1.
Sanchez is one of the better of the Marlin hitters with runners in scoring position because he's able to go to right and right center field, and that's the way the Sox are defending it.
Well, he better be, as far off of that plate as he is, he better be able to go to right and right center. Because if he is going to try to pull from there, he's got no plate coverage. You know, hitters will tell you what they want. It's amazing. There's that pitch fouled away. I was listening to the game going home yesterday after hours. They were talking about how more and more pitchers now are starting to watch the hitters rather than watch the mitt. Well, that's only been in the last like 30 years that guys have started to watch the mitt, because that's foul backing out of play.
Well, you have to watch the hitter. You have to pay attention. I mean, that was something that was standard procedure. When I would see a guy make an adjustment to what I was doing with him after the first time up, because most pitchers have a good mental image of where every hitter stands. As soon as they deviate from it, again, they tell you what they're looking for in that at-bat. Might not be the next at-bat, but in that at-bat, they're trying to force you into making a specific pitch in an area.
That ball hit hard, but foul. Well, it was just, I was sort of chuckling listening to it, because Cooperstown was full of guys, pitchers, who didn't care where the mitt was. They just watched the hitter. The hitter would tell them what pitch to throw. They set it up for him. If they saw a guy diving, they pitched him in. If they saw a guy pulling off the ball a little bit, they pitched him away. And one of the great pitchers, maybe the greatest for a 6-year period that ever lived, Sandy Koufax, said, I know it sounds simplistic and I know it sounds very easy, but he said that's really how simple it was. When I started watching the hitter rather than trying to fill up that mid all the time, that hitter told me where to pitch.
Well,
I didn't have to think.
I also didn't throw to the glove at times. I threw to sometimes a part of the catcher's anatomy, like his left shoulder, depending on where the hitter was.
And that ball hit down the left field line, and that is foul, just foul. Whoa, thank you. And while we have a moment, you can support your White Sox by becoming a season ticket holder. Now, the White Sox Ozzie plan features 13 games, including Cubs Series tickets, leaving the rest up to you. Prices vary depending on selected seat category and game choices. So for details, visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 to speak with a ticket sales representative.
I think we caught a bit of a break here. Might not mean anything in the long run, but take a look at where this lands. Just foul.
Really close. Andy Fletcher all over it. Putting the eyeball on it. And the 2-2. And they were talking to that ball all the way back to the backstop. So now Carroll in the third on the wild pitch, but they were talking about a particular pitching coach and they were talking in terms of it was his revelation, so to speak.
It's his revelation?
Yeah. That he got some of his pitchers watching the hitters rather than watching the mid.
Well, I've discovered that there were dinosaurs. I just wanted to share it with you now before I really get into it on the next broadcast.
And there's ball 4.
It's the revelation of the glove.
Yeah.
That's good. That's the one thing about baseball, and this was told to me by a player long ago, a former player who is now a coach and managed briefly in the major leagues, Joey Malfitano. He said to me, remember something. The faces change, the names change. He said, the game doesn't change very much. He said, that's something that as long as you're in it, you'll realize just doesn't change all that much.
Well, that's debatable. I know Joey, and Joey is a terrific guy and a terrific baseball man. For the most part, a lifer, like you and I.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I sort of disagree with that. The game, when you have, the game is just a microcosm of society. And when society changes, that microcosm is going to change. And when it does, now, is it still going to be 90 feet to first base? Yes. Is it still going to be 60 feet 6 inches to home plate? Yes. Is it still going to be a 17-inch plate? Yes, it is. But when players change, the game changes. And this is a different game that you and I, when we in our time zones, when we first came up, that's why you and I have been so fortunate to be around. There's a strike around and have seen the evolution of this game to where it was, and now where it is today.
I think the biggest aspect of that is the long-term contracts. I mean, first of all, time on the disabled list went up 400%. You can document that from the time it was a one-year contract to the time when multi-year contracts came into vogue. It's not going to roll back anytime soon.
That's off the plate, count 2-2. Well,
you played on a number of one-year contracts, and you realize if you didn't play this year for whatever reason, you went on the disabled list because you had something that you could have played through but chose not to, you just didn't get paid that much next year.
I think I was the first player to ever sign a 3-year contract in the American League. Did it with the Boston Red Sox. Ted Williams, the longest he ever had, was a 2-year. Ernie Banks with the Cubs had a 2-year. I'll tell you when the game really started changing, which coincides with what you said, was with agents. That's when the game really started to change, because agents were the one that started really pressing for multi-year contracts. And a guy would have a big year, and all of a sudden you had to have some precedent there, and then somebody said, well, okay, well, this guy signed a 3-year contract with the Red Sox. And my guy just hit 30 home runs 2 years in a row, blah, 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 blah. I want to get him a 3-year contract. And the multi-year contract certainly is, that's ball 3. So a full count to Henry Ramirez with 1 out, runners at the corners. But the dynamics of the game have changed to a degree. As I said, let's just go back to started off this conversation with the pitchers who back in that time zone when you came in and I came in, they watched the hitter. 95% of them. A lot of guys, the 5% watched the mitt. Now it's the other way around. There goes the runner. There's a strike him out. So the stolen base, 2 down.
I think another aspect came when the owners who were counseled to sign this guy out of the steel industry to negotiate for them and represent them decided that they could do without Marvin Miller. He went to the Players Association, and that's when a lot of things started to shift.
Well, Marvin is here. His Cantu. Ducks on the pond. He's a tough out up there. Marvin certainly, from an administrative standpoint, revolutionized the game for the player, because before Marvin got here, we didn't even have dental plans. And in my group, when we came in, we had to donate, I think it was $2 a day towards a pension plan. And when you're making $6,000 a year and you're donating $14 a week, okay, $56 a month, that's quite a bit of a donation. We had to do that. That's what actually started funding the pension plan. Now, when you got to baseball, you guys didn't have to donate anything when you first started.
No, but we didn't have, well, we didn't have a whole lot to donate. You were in the same situation, but I remember my first salary was $13,500, and I played a full season. And then second year, they said, well, we'll give you $16,000, or you can wait for Horace Stoneham, the owner, to come down, and you can talk to him about that other $500 you want. I said, no, thanks. I'll take the $16,000. I don't want to talk to Mr. Stoneham. I didn't think that playing in Keokuk, Iowa would be a great thing after being in the big leagues for a year.
Well, you may have been the forerunner, the precursor to Bob Wolf. The synergy.
It happened. It happened just like that.
Yeah, that's just off the plate, full count.
But there's no doubt that the owners for a long time had the hammer and used it without reservation to control players. Then things swung to the other side. The players have had the hammer for some time and have used it. And eventually, I think it's starting to swing back where they're going to meet in the middle.
So the second walk of the inning, they have the bases loaded, and they have yet to get a hit.
Here comes
he hit a pitch.
Yeah, here comes Don Cooper to talk with Scott Linebrink about getting the ball over the plate, for the simple reason that you don't want to go to that bullpen any more than you have to and deplete it without an off day in 7 games coming up.
So Coop has his say, goes back. Steve alluded to earlier, the only thing that Ozzy's thinking about right now is getting some innings from whoever is out on that bump. Ugla is 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer and an RBI ground out. Takes it up and in.
You look at his numbers with the bases loaded over the course of his career, and they're tremendously impressive.
Very good friend of mine who was an outstanding pitcher, 20-game winner in the big leagues, and a former roommate. As the count moves to 2-0, had an interesting. We were talking about exactly what you and I are talking about, and I'm going back now. Probably 35, 40 years ago at a golf tournament. That's fouled back. And he was talking about how pitchers were getting away from looking at the hitter and focusing more on the mitt, the catcher's mitt. And he said when you start focusing on the catcher's mitt, you lose a lot of your instincts. When you're looking at the hitter, your instincts come back into play because it gets you thinking in a proper channel. And he, as I said, he won 20 games, and he was didn't have real good stuff, but he was a smart pitcher. His name was Ralph Terry.
I remember Ralph Terry very well. My grandfather told me he was a great pitcher.
Three and two.
Say he was your roommate, huh?
Yeah, he was. Well, he also had another roommate going way back, Wade Hoyt. Outfield straight up, spread out. We got to get an out here, boys. we trail 7-0
already, and that ball hit deep into center field. Alex back, right in front of the 400-foot mark, calls it in, and that'll retire the side. His grand sweep did not get a hit, and we still trail at 7-0.
The first pitch in Marlins history, none other than Charlie Huff, the knuckleballer.
The Chuckmeister.
April 5th, 1993. Florida defeated the Dodgers. It didn't take them long to win a world championship. It took them to 1997. And they've also won one since then in 2003.
The D-backs, it didn't take them long either.
They were in their fourth year.
They were in playoffs the first year.
And
here's Tian. He grounded out softly to first, takes first pitch strike.
I'm thinking when two-year starters are Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, and they're both in their prime, throwing great, they're going to be in good shape.
Well, I think I mentioned the other day, in their first 4 years, they go to the playoffs. They win a World Series in the fourth. They beat the Yankees. And in those 4 years, they lost $30 million.
Well, they backloaded a lot of those contracts and changed one of the rules in the game. You can't defer a great deal of money without putting some of it away to make sure you have the funds to handle that.
The old escrow trick.
you have to make sure that you can stay solvent. That's a very important part of the game. Randy Williams throwing in the pen.
And there's a chopper. Base hit. So the leadoff man aboard. Let's get some runs. Let's give this nice crowd who had a great crowd last night. We have a great crowd every night here. Maybe not so much in numbers, but certainly in enthusiasm and backing for their White Sox.
Well, with summer coming, putting a few wins together on this road trip is going to help out considerably. In the month of June, in which we play a big part of it in Chicago, including an away Cubs series.
First pitch strike to Alexei, who grounded out to his counterpart, Hanley Ramirez. You we got Texas, Cleveland, Detroit, Atlanta. The Cubs all at home. Of course, the Cubs over at their place in June.
So we play 9 games out of this city in June.
And this should be. He's down on ground. No, it's not going to be now.
That was an interesting play. He looked like a lawn dart for a second there.
Hey, Wade Boggs.
Well, it's a nice stop. And then Hanley Ramirez lost his balance. He comes up with it nicely, loses his balance, takes a header, and the backhand flip, which gives you an idea about how strong he is, because he got something on that backhand flip, but you can only get one.
And I say Wade Boggs affectionately because he was a terrific third baseman, but I don't think he made a play that never hit the ground on. He spent some time on that ground in third. Great hit. Very underrated at third base by many. Gordon shot a single hard into left field. And Boggs' 3,000th hit was a home run. Oh, 0-2 the count to Gordon the third.
We haven't had a big problem getting runners on. In fact, Johnson has yet to have a 1-2-3 inning. We just had a problem getting him in.
And that's outside 1-2.
Give you an idea about Johnson and his work ethic. He was having problems holding runners on, and he was having problems with his fielding. So this winter he went back to basketball drills to increase his foot speed, his quickness, and he's at least now decent at holding runners close.
Well, there's a drill that it's not a drill, it's a game that pitchers don't play anymore, that unfortunately too many organizations have outdone themselves and just allowed it. It's the greatest thing in the world for helping a pitcher's agility and his fielding, and that's called pepper.
Pepper was terrific. Flip was terrific.
And they don't want it done anymore.
No, in fact, it started with all of the signs and back of home plate on the wall. No pepper.
That's a shame. That used to be a fun game that pitchers could really improve their fielding and agility. And there's another souvenir right side. Said it's too dangerous.
Well, the game of flip was terrific when
sure it was.
5 pitchers would
Coke,
stand around. They would, they would
Pepsis,
use their glove and
beers,
just flip it to one another. It really improved, number one, your hand-eye coordination, but also your hand speed.
Softly hit. Can't turn it. So 2 out. And that'll bring up Juan Pierre.
When you have to go completely up in the air and try to get off a throw, it's going to be pretty difficult to get to. Watch Ramirez as he goes up in the air and tries to throw Beckham out on the back end of that force out.
Well, he's 6'3", 230.
Yeah, that's a big man and strong.
That's a little easier play for him right there underneath, and that'll retire the side. We'll go to the 5th. It is still 7-0. With Texter, you could win $5 foot-long subs from Subway. Oh, spicy. Lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, olives, all in vinegar. Yummy. Yum, yum.
Randy Williams coming into the game on for the 17th time. He's 0-1. ERA, respectable at 3.86. On in relief of Scott Linebrink, who went an inning and 2/3. No runs, no hits. Walked 2, fan 2. Restored some order to this one. Sox still trail 7-0.
Cody Ross is 1 for 1, a 2-run homer and a base on balls. And also the White Sox and Cubs rivalry continues this season as the winner of the series takes home the Crosstown Cup presented by BP. So for tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com. That's deep in the left field. Here back looks up, and it is 8-0.
That's a second home run by Ross, equaling his season total to this point. So the wind, very partly howling out to left and left center field. Got that ball up into the wind. And a perfect day. 2 home runs, a walk, 3 driven in. High fastball. See you later.
Wes Helms has gone out to center, and he has singled to center. You know, getting back to Marvin Miller when he first came in, and he did all those changes for the players. There's a high change, and to count 1-1. A couple of years later, when I was with the Red Sox, Jim Lonborg was a player rep, and they were having their player rep meetings down in San Juan. So I talked to Lonnie before he went down there. I said, Lonnie, I want you to propose something for Marvin Miller. And that would be that every player give $25 as a bonus as there's a base hit. And that's going to be a double to Wes Helms. So he is 2 for 3. So he would have a bonus. Every major league player donated $25, and he said, Hawk, they're not going to go for it. And I said, well, I want you to propose that to the other player reps. He said, okay. Because if a player asks a player rep to do something of that nature, he's got to do it. Well, he comes back, he calls me up, and he said, I proposed it, and they turned it down.
Not surprising.
I was shocked. I was shocked. I really was. What a job he did for the players.
Well, I remember sitting in on a meeting when the owners had proposed doing away with 1 year of arbitration in exchange for taking free agency down from 6 to 4 years. And Marvin Miller said, boys, keep it at 6 years. Don't go to 4 years, because if there's 2 of you, you're much more valuable than if there's 30 of you. And also, it's going to be arbitration that's going to be the one thing that's going to make you a great deal of money.
Marvin Miller called me the day after the owners awarded the players arbitration. I was in Miami because we were talking about the 3-year contract that I'd signed with the Red Sox and how he wanted me to handle that situation because nobody had ever done it. So that's in the center field. Alex has got the bead. Helms is tagging. He'll move in the third, and that is out number 1. He called me the next day, and he says, Hawk, he said, you will never believe what happened. And I said, what's that? He said, they gave us arbitration. He said, in my wildest dreams, I never thought they would ever give us arbitration. And I really didn't know the impact of it, or what was going on.
I don't think anybody did, but no. Marvin at the time.
So I said, well, what do you mean, Marvin? He goes, you'll understand later on, but just remember, he said, they gave us arbitration.
And I remember him telling us Never trade off arbitration for free agency, whatever they want to do.
As Carroll is hit by a pitch.
Second time in 2 innings he's been hit by a pitch.
Well, the first time last inning he hit himself. He just turned right into it. There, he couldn't do anything about it.
Not that time. That ball was behind him.
So here's Chris Coughlin. He's 0 for 3. He's bounced back to the pitcher, grounded to second, and struck out. Well, free agency in its true state was great for the game of baseball. But all of a sudden, that's the reason Marvin never thought they would give arbitration, because you mix free agency with arbitration. Now that's like mixing gas with a match. And that's what happened.
Well, you also had to be around, as far as free agency, you have to play for 6 years. The average lifespan of a professional player is not 6 years, so at least you had to put in a lot of time to get there, whereas arbitration, as we know, really opened the door.
Well, the greatest example in the world is Tom Hicks signing of Alex Rodriguez down in Texas. I mean, that's the greatest. That's the worst contract ever signed by an owner.
But don't forget, he was
in the history of sports.
He was a new owner, and the second highest bid was in the neighborhood of, I don't know, $75 million less. But Tom,
and that was his bid. He was bidding against himself.
And Tom tried to assemble and did some wonderful hitters. They had a tremendous hitting team and finished last in their division 3 years in a row. Somebody suggested that you might want to look into some pitching in the not-too-distant future. And, of course, they moved A-Rod to the New York Yankees.
Well, for the fans out there who don't quite understand what that signing did, when he signed that $252 million contract, that it brought every other shortstop. It made them, let's put it this way, made them an awful lot of money in arbitration. And, of course, a lot of the guys, it made them more money than they actually by far were worth.
Well, Manny Ramirez was not going to get $20 million if A-Rod didn't get the.
Oh, that's the worst contract ever signed in the history of sports, right there. By an owner. That's high and wide. Sanchez has singled, popped to first, and walked. Also picked up a stolen base. Overall, the cheapest player you have is the guy who's making the most money if he earns it. And what kills the cost of doing business is because of arbitration. The guys who don't play very well are alike, and they're still making $5 or $6 million a year. I'm happy for him. Somebody's got to sign the checks.
It's true.
There's the strike.
And nobody's going to turn it down if it's offered.
Runners at the corners, 2 out and a 3-1 pitch. And it's full.
Sanchez looks back at Adrian Johnson. He thought that ball was up and out of the zone. That's a high strike.
Ate him up. Alexei over to Polly, and that'll retire the side. But the home run by Cody Ross is second of the game. We're halfway home, trailing 8-0. All right, our Chuck, thank you very much. Chuck, of course, working on that, as Mike Mayer says, a 13-year extension.
Oh, huge contract. And he had to give away 3 years of arbitration, but he gladly did it.
Well, no, he didn't gladly. He reluctantly. Here's A.J. First pitch strike. A.J. is grounded to first and grounded to short. 8-9-0 for them, 0-5-0 for us. We stranded 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. And that's out of play. Souvenir left side. Make your plans to be with us tomorrow night. First of that 3-game set against the Tribe. First of that 7-game road trip. Johnny Danks against Justin Masterson. That game will be over WCIU Channel 26 or WGN Sports on the U. And in that series, poof. Here are the probables. You see Jake Meister against Mitch Talbot. And Wednesday, Burley against Jake Westbrook. Comcast Sportsnet on Tuesday, and right back here, or check that, on WGN on Wednesday. Helms, 1 out.
There's a lot of folks that felt that Masterson would be better served in the pen. Cleveland was having some starter problems. Masterson, who throws from low 3/4, gets a lot of the right-handers out, has some problems with the left-handers, and he has yet to win.
Well, I agree with your statement. Starting off, in my opinion, he'd be a lot better. He's the kind of guy that after you see him a couple, 3 times, you know, a lot of that effectiveness of lower 3/4, that vanishes.
Especially, you know, left-hand hitters see the ball all the way. There's no deception. But he
hangs a lot of sliders.
We had some problems with Talbot, if you remember, and that was we saw him the first time, and everybody thought, well, this stuff isn't great. I wonder how he's winning. And meanwhile, he's won 5 games for the Indians.
The ball hit hard but foul by Alex, who was 1 for 2. And a 1-2 pitch. Checks it up, fouls it off, and you can stop by the Comcast Fundamentals deck at U.S. Cellular Field for the ultimate game day experience. Visit the Comcast dugout to see official White Sox equipment, take photos next to life-size player cutouts, and listen to updates about the White Sox pitching staff on Xfinity Voice dugout phone. As that's into right field, nice piece of hitting right there by Alex. He will pull into second base, and look at this arm. That's pretty good arm right there by Brett Carroll.
So the inability to get a 1-2-3 inning continues as Alex takes this one inside out, slicing it down the line. We've had our chances. By 8 runs, had a few shots at Johnson, but can't cash anything in.
So here's Paulie. Paulie has singled sharply to left, and he has walked. But all those good things about the Comcast Fundamentals deck at U.S. Cellular Field, brought to you by all the great folks at Comcast. Breaking ball. Paulino knocks it down. 2-0 the count. Boston now leading Philly 7-0. Pick him up, Paulie. Checks it up, takes the breaking ball strike. The slider.
You're 8 runs up. It's a 2-0 count, and you still don't throw a fastball. It's confidence in that slider.
And the count 2-2. Pitchers today have a very difficult time in giving in.
They just don't want to throw fastballs and fastball counts. And if you can get the pitch over, you can't blame them.
A lot of pitchers, you can hit a slider out on them for a home run. You can hit a curveball out on them for a home run. Even if it's a bad one. And they still keep throwing those. But you hit a fastball, turn around a fastball. Boy, they get off that fastball in a heartbeat.
It.
Long look in. And the 2-2 pitch. High in the center field. Cody Ross. Alex will tag. He'll go into third, and that's out number 2. So 2 down to Mark Kotsay. Mark has walked and then lined out to second. Pick him up, 7. Takes the breaking ball strike. Sinker. Hard slider or something. And the 0-1. Very quickly the count 0-2. Johnson came in 21 games over 500. 38-17.
Bad for a guy that spent some time in the bullpen. Was not a much ballyhooed #1 draft choice. 4th round in 2002.
Good eye right there by Mark. Opponents were hitting just 195 off of him.
Big number, 18 walks, 63 strikeouts coming in.
Two and two.
You can look at that number. You go over 3-1 strikeouts to walks. Most teams will tell you 2-1 is pretty good.
Soft comebacker, and that'll do it. We strand one more. That is 8 through 5, and we trail it 8-0. Chicago sports fans know there's only one place to go for the best local sports news and highlights, and that's Sports Night. Every night at 6:30, 10, 10:30, and midnight. Breaking news, highlights, and exclusive interviews with the athletes you care about. Tune in to Sports Night every night at 6:30, 10, 10:30, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Hanley Ramirez will lead it off. Backdoor curveball. Ramirez 1 for 3, hit a double and scored in the first inning. Then he lined out hard to Quentin and right, and then he struck out.
Williams threw that high fastball by him.
And the count 0-2. And there's a souvenir into the LG Skyline Club seats, way down in the right field area.
If Ozzie can get it, he'd love to get 3 innings out of Williams. Got 1 so far.
Curveball. And that's out number 1. Good start. They'll bring up Jorge Cantu, who is 1 for 1. RBI double. That was in the first. Then he's walked twice and he scored twice. Cantu just 28 years old. Last year he had 289, 16 homers, and drove in 100 for the Marlins. Change up high and wide.
Well, we're just past a quarter pole, and Cantu is on pace again to drive in triple digits.
And the count 2-0. Outfield straight up, spread out, about equidistant. And it is 9-0.
That was a no-doubter. He hit that one a mile.
So the second home run thrown up there by Randy Williams.
Perfect day for Jorge Cantu. A couple of walks, double, and now a line drive home run.
And here's Uggla. He's 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer and 3 RBIs.
He came an eyelash from having 4 more RBIs with a drive 400 feet away from home plate last time with the bases loaded.
Here's the strike. You're just tuning in. The Marlins with 4 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fifth, and 1 so far here in the sixth. And the count evens at 2. He gone. I like his demeanor.
Might be the 9-0 backdoor breaking
That's the reason
ball
I like
call.
his demeanor. He knew.
He just
knew it. He just said, "Okay, I understand."
Getaway day for both
Grab some
teams.
bench.
It's 9-0.
Yep.
That ball was in the neighborhood.
Here's Ross. 2-run homer, a walk, and a solo homer. He homered leading off last inning against Williams. First man he saw, and that's a base hit into right field.
Perfect day for Cody Ross. The Marlins, who had hit 40 home runs in 44 games coming into today, have 5 of them.
So here's Helms. He's 2 for 3. Fly out, a single, and a double. Double down into the right field corner. Takes that pitch upstairs. And the count 2-0. Bottom of the 6th in Minnesota, 4-2 Milwaukee. And the count 3-0. There's one.
11 hits for these Marlins, 8 of them for extra bases.
11 hits, 6 of which have stayed at the park. And he pops him up into right field. Carlos. Now Alex makes the call. And it'll do it with the homer by Jorge Cantu. We're at the bottom of the 6th. 9-0.
Then Paulino with a solo shot in the 2nd. Then it was Ugla with a 2-run homer in the 3rd. Then Ross again with a solo shot in the 5th. And Cantu with a solo shot in the 6th.
So here we go. Carlos Quentin, 0 for 2. He is fouled out to first and lined out to left. Takes first pitch strike. You know, we were talking about one of the great drills, not drills, but games that pitchers could play to improve their fielding, which is pepper. And most clubs have outlawed it. I should have included the fact that of this issue, I should say, that the White Sox are one of the few organizations. They play pepper every day in the minor leagues. And that's one reason, as you'll see, most of our pitchers, especially over the last few years, have been on the White Sox club, are pretty good fielders. That's foul back.
I would think it'd be something that would be nice to do before the gates open, so that you couldn't, if that's the issue, you couldn't hurt anybody in the seats.
Well, when I said a lot of clubs thought it was too dangerous, they didn't think it was dangerous for the fans. They thought it was dangerous for the players. As that ball hit into right field. And Carroll is there, makes the catch. But no, the White Sox pitchers, they play in spring training and in the minor leagues every day.
And the problem is, if your hands aren't good enough in a pepper game, you're going to get killed on that mound when the ball comes back to you about 3 times as fast.
Well, you're going to do it just from all the abuse you're going to take from your teammates. You're going to get better.
That's why I have to laugh, because they call third base the hot corner. And the hot corner, most of the time, you're 90 feet away, and sometimes you're back a little further than that, sometimes maybe a step or two closer. But when you deliver the baseball, you're 55 feet from the hitter. And there are some times when you just don't see much of the baseball when it comes back to you. And if you watch a lot of replays, you'll see a pitcher actually put his glove up when the ball is past second base.
There's a chopper to Hopper. Well, I like the idea. That's one reason that the Sox have been such an outstanding organization, especially 2 reasons. Kenny has brought back a lot of things that were more or less taken away from the past, so to speak. And I not that everything that was done back then was right, because there are a ton of things that are done today that are much improvement over what was done in the past. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3, and we're into the 7th. Awesomely exciting Blackhawks.
Jason Nix takes over at second base. His brother Lance, who plays for Cincinnati, has homered in 4 straight games.
That's pretty good.
That's very good. We're pretty happy with Johnson after his first 1-2-3 inning. And the fact that he's leading 9-0. That's courtesy of his offense.
Ronnie Paulino takes strike 1. 28,298. 1-1 the count. Outfield around to the right, gap out there in left center. And the count 2-1. Brett Carroll on deck and Chris Coughlin in the hole here in the top of the 7th inning. 9-11-0 for their guys, 0-6-0 for our guys. And there's a base hit, so Paulino now 2 for 4 with a homer. Fifth hit given up by Williams, and it'll bring up Carroll, who was 0 for 1. Twice he has been hit by a pitch.
Yeah, he's just trying to make sure that this at bat does not end with him getting plunked again.
Well, one time he hit himself, and the other time, last time up, he got hit. One hopper. High throw. Into the seats.
Good pickup.
Well, he got caught in between on there, and it turned out to be, yeah, and then just the...
Good pickup, bad throw. Error number 7 for Martin. This part of it's good. This part, not so good. Off-balance throw, and he had plenty of time.
So here's Coughlin. He's 0 for 4. He's 0 for 12 in the series. Second and short halfway. And he takes high and away, ball 1.
For the Sox, that was their first error of the series. They've been playing some pretty decent defense lately.
There's a strike. And that's popped up. Stay in here. Nope. Just back about 5 rows, and the count 1-2. Coughlin, 24 years old. Last year's National League Rookie of the Year. Just off the corner.
This year, finding out that there are some struggles to be had up here.
Well, everything is self-induced. If you believe it, it will happen. He gone. 1 out. So here is Sanchez. He is 1 for 3. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right either way. Senator.
Well, he probably didn't have too many struggles last year. If you hit 321, especially not starting the season with the ball club. He played 128 games and just kept getting better. I mean, you kept hearing reports out of Florida that this young kid had come up and that batting average just kept on going up.
That's fouled back. And the count 1-1. Well, that's another thing the White Sox do that I love. When they sign guys, now they bring them in, position players. They allow them to go out there and swing the bat the way that, for the reason they got signed. They don't get them in there and 2 days later start changing them around. A lot of organizations have a system or a psychological or philosophical mode that they go through. As there's a good strike. It's just like Houston. I don't know if they still have it. The Astros, everybody they signed, every pitcher they signed, started off in low A. Everybody. Number ones, number 2 drafts, number 3 drafts, everybody.
Well,
that ball hit hard. Off teeing.
That now goes in the seats.
Into the stands. And 2 more runs are going to cross home plate.
I think they're going to tell him, standing at third base, to score. And that's Brett Carroll. Take another look at it. One hopper. Gets no leather on it.
Well, when you Mark's back on his heels, let's face it, he's just had a extremely bad time at third base. When you're back on your heels and when you become defensive like he is mentally right now, it's a terrible place to be. I've been there. You've been there. Everybody, every player's been there.
Well, you've been there in one aspect of your game, certainly.
And there's a base hit in the center field. It's going to score another run. But when you get there, you become defensive, and all of a sudden you're back on your heels. So you're thinking about, don't hit it to me. Next thing you know, here comes a shot at you. You got no chance. The ball hits you in the kneecap and bounces into the seats.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
When you don't get the glove on it, tough for your knee to knock it down. Here comes Don Cooper. He's going to go out there and have a talk with Randy Williams. It's 12-0. This has not been the most pleasant of afternoons. Those 2 games were a lot of fun. Ryan Barden comes in to pinch run. And the bullpen up and going. Looks like Tony Pena down there. It's because it is.
And here's the 1-0. And 2 for 2. RBI double in the first, homer in the 6th, 2 walks, and he scored 3 times. That ball is hammered into left field. That's going to be a base hit. And you can enjoy a day here at US Cellular Field with family and friends. Individual tickets are on sale right now. So for tickets, visit www.whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME.
And that's going to be it for Randy Williams as Ozzie comes out. Tony Pena will come into this one.
All right, Williams departs, and we'll be back.
Pursuing perfection called to the pen, and it's Tony Pena. He comes on at 0-1, ERA 5.21, on for the 16th time. He inherits Marlins at first and second. 12 runs on 15 hits for these Marlins.
And here's Dan Uggla, who was 1 for 4, a 2-run homer. Just a line shot out of here. 12th of the season. He had 3 RBIs on the afternoon. He now has 31. Breaking ball high, and the count 2-0. Cody Ross on deck. He's 3 for 3 today with a couple of homers. And the 3-0. There's one. A beautiful afternoon here in the City Beautiful. There's a strike. Everything but the scoreboard.
But the kids who are out here to enjoy Kids Day aren't that worried about it overall, because they know that 2 of 3 is okay.
Well, it certainly is not bad.
Well, you knew today would be a tough one because you were going against Johnson.
Well, we knew that first game.
But when you give up 7 in the first 3, odds are you're not going to beat Johnson.
Watch out. He gone. 2 down.
Big comeback, and he gets Uggla swinging over the top of this one.
So here's Ross, a 2-run homer, a walk, a solo shot, and a single. And he got a cookie right there and just underneath it.
Cody hasn't missed too many today, but he missed that hanger.
Cody last year, 24 homers, 90 RBIs. And he got another good pitch to hit. But they're not going to hit every mistake hard. Ross, 5'10", 195 pounds, out of Phoenix. And the 0-2 pitch. He gone. Good job by Tony. Comes in, strikes out the 2 he faces. 7th inning stretch. They got us by a dozen.
And Dan Meyer takes over on the hill. On for the 10th time. ERA way up there. He pitched in the first game of this series on Friday night. Pitched an inning and 2/3. Gave up a hit and no runs.
Here's Jason Nix. Takes first pitch strike from Meyer. Jason making his first plate appearance. Outfield slightly to the right. And the count very quickly, 0-2. Juan Pierre on deck and A.J. Pierzynski in the hole.
And Freddie Gonzalez wanting to save Josh Johnson some innings. He leaves with 12-run lead, 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, no runs, walked a pair, and most unusual, he didn't fan anybody.
Well, that's the first time I've seen Josh Johnson. And he is impressive. He is a pitcher. Reminds me a lot of John Lackey.
Makes the big pitch when he has to.
Yeah, I like guys who look like they're always within themselves.
Well, it seems like he's always got a little something if he has to get out of a jam. Otherwise, he's going to coast along, throw you some sinkers.
All good ones do. All good ones do. Whether it be a pitcher, whether it be a hitter, whether it be a golfer. It's one of the things that Nicholas was trying to help me after I retired. He says, always keep 15 or 20 in your back pocket.
Well, if you're with me, keep a 50 because you're probably going to need it. Not golfing. No, but I mean, I believe that. I think you should always be able to reach back, get a little something extra, especially in the innings where you're not in trouble. There's no sense letting it all go.
Well, that's almost a lost art now. You know that. It's almost a lost art.
Well,
in your time frame, you had guys that was just a matter of fact, so to speak.
Well, you knew that you were probably going to be allowed to throw a complete game.
They call it pacing yourself. As that is caught by Wes Helms, 1 out.
And the art of pitching too, Hawk, the centers around. You know what every hitter has as a weak spot because you go over either tapes or you go over scouting reports, and let's say that this guy can't handle the ball inside and down. You face him, nobody out, or 2 outs, nobody on. There's no reason to go inside and down because you're going to show him how you're going to get him out in a key situation. So even if you give up a base hit or give up a hard hit ball, you throw him something else. And when you need it, you go there.
The art of pitching is centered around the art of hitting. And that being is when you don't have to show a guy your best stuff, why show it? We discussed that last week about in spring training, for example. American League starters, unless it was just the way the schedule was, you couldn't get around it. They would pitch mostly, or try to pitch mostly against National League players.
Well, another factor.
They didn't want to see them.
And a guy told me this very early in my career. He said, you can't strike a guy out on strike 1. So if you show him your best slider or your best curveball or whatever it is that you have on strike 1, you got nothing to come back with to surprise him when you're trying to get him.
AJ takes the ball. You get so many guys today, every pitch pedal to the metal. We had a guy here who had terrific stuff. Still does. Had the best stuff I've ever seen for a guy who was a 500 pitcher with over 100 wins and 100 losses. And that's Javi Vasquez.
No doubt about it. And he's been that way with every team he's gone to.
Forever. He's got 5 pitches. That's too many for him. He cut down 1 or 2, which they tried to get him to do here. Is AJ gets plumped. And with 2 out, AJ at first had to bring up Alex Rios. But Javi, through everything he had, to almost every pitcher, every hitter he faced the first time around. So you get to, that's why when you get to the 5th or 6th inning, when did he have his problem?
That always, I mean, the 6th inning was a thing that gave him a lot of problems. That becomes a psychological thing, but also becomes something that you can't reach back, get anything extra when you get in that jam. And that's the reason why with 4+ major league pitches. He's a .500 pitcher. Now, Ozzie is talking to Adrian Johnson. He thought perhaps that pitch might have been retaliatory for a couple of hit batsmen that Florida has endured today. Adrian disagrees with him. And Ozzie is wondering if there's going to be a warning issue. And now Freddie comes out, and he wants to talk with Adrian Johnson. That got him. I mean, that's a no-doubter. I don't think they're arguing about that. I think they're talking about for some reason Tim McClellan wants to get involved in this. He clearly was hit on the elbow.
Well, the first time that Carroll got hit, he hit himself.
Well, there's no doubt that
he turned right into the pitch.
That ball was 3 inches inside.
The second time he got hit, that could have been construed as having a 10-run lead. But somebody got upset and drilled it.
But also he did get hit in the leg. I mean, this wasn't. That's the one that hit him. That wasn't all that far inside. That got him. This one wasn't meant to be a career ender. He hit him below the knee.
Well, this is the last time they're going to play each other this season. Yeah. I don't blame them.
They don't train against one another.
No, I don't blame them. Not for the first one, but for the second. Yes, here's Alex. He is 2 for 3. Single and a double. AJ just happened to be up there with 2 out, nobody on.
He was the guy. His number came up.
And the count 2-0. And that's outside. Well, 15-0 for them, 0-6-1 for us. Didn't take long.
And I think they're yelling. Ozzie's yelling at Meyer from the dugout, and Meyer's yelling back at Ozzie. Now Randy St. Clair is coming out to get his pitcher back to concentrating on the job at hand, which is to protect this 12-run lead.
I think Freddie's going to go out there and say, what is this? The manager yelling at my player, my pitcher.
That's what he's talking to the crew chief, Tim McClellan.
I hate it when umpires point fingers like that in your face. Jim seems to be really upset about something.
He actually seems to be the most upset guy on the field.
Yeah, he does.
Except perhaps for Ozzie, who was not on the field, who was in the dugout. Well, Ozzie settled down.
So here's Paulie. Paulie, 1 for 2 with a hard single, a walk, and a fly out the center. That's outside. Takes it up. They asked him, McClellan, he was looking at somebody else.
Finally, came to the realization that someone had asked him a question.
2-0. And that's popped up. Cody Ross taking charge. Makes the catch. That'll retire the side. We'll go to the 8th.
Well, I think that with the situation at 12-0, with both benches worn, I think that the eventual outcome of all that discussion with Tim McClellan and Adrian Johnson. Let's see what happens here.
I hope nothing, as Helms will lead it off, followed by Paulino and Carroll.
One thing you don't need in a situation in May is to get one of your key players hurt in a retaliatory fashion in a 12-0 game when you're not going to see that team ever again.
Breaking ball strike to Helms, who is 2 for 4, a single and a double.
And that's popped up right side. That's not going to be played. One hop into the seats. So 0-2. And you can enter the Gordon Beckham sweepstakes presented by Remington. All the good folks at Remington for the chance to win 4 Diamond Suite tickets to the July 5th game against the Angels. Also an opportunity to throw out the ceremonial first pitch and a pregame photo with Gordon Beckham III. Visit WhiteSox.com for more details.
That's got a piece of it.
Lucky to stay alive because I think he had to be looking something off speed. He got the fastball and just barely able to tip it.
And that's back to the middle. Jason Nix, good effort. And they don't quite get him. Oh, what a nice effort by Nix.
Well, that looked like a base hit all the way, and Jason turned it into a bang-bang play at first. Even though Helms doesn't run particularly well, that looked like it was going to find its way into center field. But in the air, he made it awfully close at first. The third Helms hit of the day.
So here's Paulino. He's 2 for 4 with a homer, couple runs scored. Still 4-2 Milwaukee over Minnesota late in that ball game.
Minnesota has a man on second, nobody out in the bottom of the ninth. Milwaukee looking for another closer, at least a closer for the moment, as Trevor Hoffman has struggled mightily.
And that's fair. Down into the corner. They're going to hold a runner at third. So the double by Paulino. Helms at third. Nobody out.
Paulino gets his third hit of the day. Pena tries to get this ball down and in. Doesn't get there. And it's rifled down the line.
Brett Carroll 0 for 2. But he has scored a run. Infield back. Chopper, everybody's going to have to hold their ground. And there's out number 1.
This is one of the few Marlin players that's had a very difficult series. Everybody has gotten healthy today as the Marlins have put up 17 hits. Coughlin continues to struggle.
He's 0 for 13 in the series. 3 strikeouts today. A little soft ground ball. Hitting at 212 as he stands up to the dish. And that is a souvenir left side. Top of the third in Los Angeles. Tigers leading the Dodgers 3-0. Final from Cleveland, 4-3 Indians over Cincinnati. One and two. Minnesota still hitting in the bottom of the ninth. Trailing Milwaukee 4-2 with a man aboard. Comebacker snapped by Tony. Go to Paulie, 2 down.
Chris Coghlan's going to be mighty happy to leave Chicago this trip.
Here's Sanchez. He's 2 for 4. Gabby, a couple of RBIs and a couple of runs scored. In the hole. Can he throw him out? No. So Helms crosses the plate, and it's 13-0.
Third hit of the day for Gabby Sanchez. pretty decent speed. Able to beat this one out easily.
And here's Brian Barton making his first plate appearance. Off the fist. And that'll do it. They score one. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th, trailing by a baker's dozen. Product being used by the clubs, and there's also a product for you fans. Improve your fantasy play or track your favorite player and teams. Go to BloombergSports.com for details.
Clay Hensley comes into the game. So is Johnson, Meyer for an inning, and Hensley. Hensley has been their #1 setup man this year, out for the 18th time. A sparkling 1.59 ERA. You can see he gets out left-handers better than he gets out right-handers, but he does very well against both. That's the oddity of the pen for these Marlins, is most of their right-handers get out the lefties, most of the lefties get out the righties. And you don't see that all that often.
Now Randy St. Clair must know how to teach a changeup, because that's usually what those numbers will indicate.
Yep.
Mark Kotsay, Carlos Quentin, and Mark Tia. That's a 0 for 2 with the base on balls. One and 1 to count. 34-year-old veteran. There it was, and the count 1-2. Curveball, 1 out.
Good over the top breaking ball by Hensley.
There's CQ. Fouled out to first, lined hard to left, and went out to right. Stay fair. Just fouled.
Minnesota down to the last out. They've got runners at the corners, trailing 4-3 in the bottom of the 9th. I think Fernando Rodney coughed it up in St. Louis because Angels were leading 5-3. They're now trailing 6-5 in the bottom of the 8th. There's a young fan that seems to be exhausted by the 13 runs scored by the Marlins.
That was an interesting play in that Milwaukee-Minnesota game yesterday. Minnesota at the time was leading 4-2. I think it was about 6th, 7th inning. Brewers get the first 2 guys on. And I forget who the hitter was. It was down in the order. And he did not bunt. Popped up. And Minnesota got out of the inning.
Well, one of the reasons why, at least if you listen to the hot list of various guys that might have some problems, Ken Maka among them, the skipper of Milwaukee, just 16-27 coming in.
Big motion. Pulled a string on him, 2 down. Well, of course, I haven't seen him manage that much. Just when he was over here, and of course, whoever was managing A's at that particular time frame had their hands tied because there was no bunting going on over there coming down from Billy Beane. You had to get his permission. Not a whole bunch of hitting and running.
And Billy was always looking for the next manager to come along. I mean, he had Art Howe, and it seemed like every year Art was the first guy to be fired, but the second half, Art and his team played like 700 baseball, and of course then they couldn't move him. Eventually he went to the Mets, and Billy was able to get the manager who he wanted at the time. But Oakland in second place, a 500 team behind the Texas Rangers.
Well, they've changed around a little bit too. They're starting to steal some bases out there and realizing that no hitting and running, no bunting and all that stuff translates also to range and defense. So they have abandoned that as that's swung on and the count 2-2, which was that philosophy got a lot of managers fired in a hurry.
Well, one of their star players years ago, Eric Chavez, says that it could very well be his career has come to an end. Has yet another injury, a neck injury this time. Had all kinds of physical problems. He had some great years there, was a terrific fielder, but I think he's running out of body.
That curveball, oh, what a nice inning right there for Hensley. 1, 2, 3, a couple of strikeouts, and we're into the ninth. Chuck, the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, and Bill. Immediately following our game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
It's going to be Brian Peterson leading it off here in the 9th inning.
Fouls that one into the seats. Brian hitting for Jorge Cantu. Jorge 3 for 3 today with a couple of walks, 3 runs scored. He had an RBI double, a solo homer. Cantu, a good hitter. And getting better at the age of 28. Cantu came into his own in that window at 26, 27, 28. A lot of guys do, a lot of guys don't. Most don't. He did. One and two to Peterson from Tony Payne.
Looks like Leo Nunez, who we saw yesterday, throwing again into pen.
That's low, 2-2. Bottom of the 9th in Texas, 5-4 Cubs. And that's fouled. Final now from Target Field. Milwaukee defeats the Twinkies 4-3. And the 2-2. That's over into our dugout. If you're just tuning in, they started off fast and furious. 4 in the first off Freddie Garcia. I had 1 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, 3 in the seventh, and 1 in the eighth. They have hit for 18 hits, 13 of which have stayed in the park. He gone.
Finally got him on breaking ball out of the zone.
And prorated White Sox season ticket plans are on sale right now. Full season, weekday, and weekend plans offer best seat locations at the lowest prices with the most benefits. Call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com.
Good off-speed pitch. Had that going way out in front.
Just look out. Turn it loose on you. Turn that fan on.
He's not worried about how many times he strikes out. He's worried about how many home runs and how many runs batted in.
There's a nice strike on the outside corner. Doug was starting to say to himself, it's a pretty wide plate I've had today. And the 0-2 pitch. He gone. 2 down.
He just stood up at home plate. 3 strikeouts in a row. That ball drifted over the outside corner.
Oh, that ball hit.
That was a good pitch.
Out of third. So here's Maben Cameron making his first plate appearance. Maben played the first 2 games. And he went 1 for 7 with an RBI. Also a beautiful catch. Beautiful jump on him. Ball hit hard by Alex Rios, taking him right up against the 400-foot sign. That was yesterday. Just 23 years old. Out in front of the plate? No.
And the problem for Cameron Maben is he appears to be the odd man out when they bring up Mike Stanton. And they're going to bring him up June 1st. And I don't think they want to sit down Cody Ross. And
well, you can't sit this kid down. You got to let him play someplace.
Well, I think they're going to sit him down as far as the major leagues are concerned. Now, whether they send him down or not,
he's got to play.
That's to be decided.
23 years old.
I would think so. But he's not going to play in their outfield.
No, I'm just saying they'll have to maybe move him down to AAA or wherever, because he's got to get at bats. He's got to learn how to strike out a lot, so pretty soon down the road he don't strike out quite as much.
Well, he showed you that he can certainly cover the ground in center field.
Well, he was a big man that the Tigers were looking at. Came in. He gone. He strikes out the side. Nice job by Tony Pena. 5 strikeouts in his work.
On for the 19th time. He's 2-0. 9 of 11 save situations, but a fine 1.53 ERA. He's on to protect a 13-run lead.
Alexei Ramirez will lead it off for us. It'll be Ramirez, Nix, and Juan Pierre, the schedule hitters. Nunez, Army of Kansas City. First pitch strike. Detroit still leading the Dodgers 3-0, bottom of the 4th in LA. And that's low ball 1.
It's Rick Porcello pitching in that game.
Join us tomorrow night. First of that 3-game set against the Cleveland Indians. First of a 7-game road trip. Finish it off with 4 down in St. Petersburg. Johnny Danks tomorrow night against Justin Masterson. And that game will be over. It's the WCIU Channel 26. As there's a base hit. Whips that one by Helm. So the leadoff double. Come on, let's get on the board. Let's do not get shut out. 8th double for Alexei. So here's Nix. Jason has been to the plate one time, fouled out to Wes Helms. That's slowing away.
And what separates Nunez from a lot of other guys who throw hard, and he does do that, is he's got a very good changeup.
He's got a great motion for it. Has the count 1-1.
He resembles Juan Cruz. Both throw 96, 97. Both thin, lanky guys.
And count 1-2. That ball hammered. Watch out, Jeff Cox.
Jeff was turning in about 4 different ways to try to get out of the way of that one.
He was turning in layers.
It shows you he's still got that good first step quickness. We're wearing him out from the dugout.
And he's going at him again.
Well, he missed him the first time. Maybe would like to move down a step or two closer and back away a bit.
But Nunez ready with the 1-2 pitch. 1 out. High fastball. Got the job done. So here's Juan Pierre. Juan is 1 for 4. Had a double back in the second inning. Doc stranded the bases loaded off Josh Johnson in the first. Stranded 2 more in the second. Well, when you do that against a good pitcher and you can't push anything across, chances are you let him off the hook twice. See you later.
And that's exactly what happened as they were scoring early. And we had some chances. Just couldn't cash him in as Johnson made good pitch after good pitch when he was in trouble.
That's what good ones have a tendency to do. And he's a good one. The ball hit him center field. That's a can of corn from Maven. He'll make the catch. Alexei will tag, and that's out number 2. So here's AJ. AJ's 0 for 3. It is a final now from Arlington, 5-4 Cubs.
All 3 of those games were 1-run games.
Checks it up and takes ball 1. Good changeup. That motion he's got, wow. That's going to get a lot of guys.
Well, that's what has really set him apart. He was not a closer in Kansas City. He was a good setup man, occasional 7th inning guy. And he's become the closer here in Florida.
That is a power changeup. When you can look for it, get it, and still not do anything with it, that is a power changer.
Well, they traded their closer. He, I believe, is in Houston. Matt Lidstrom.
Ground ball right side, and this ball game is over. So the Sox, for the third time this year, get shut out. Marlins win it 13-0, and Freddie Garcia, Stone Pony, has been so good for us. Probably the best fifth starter, certainly in the American League, maybe in all of baseball, but today he just didn't have it.
No, one of those days where it started out very poorly, gave up 4 in the first. Things really didn't work out for him, and then it was Linebrink, Williams, and Pena to wrap it up. So we go on a 7-game, 7-day road trip and still have some rested arms in the bullpen.
We got the bullpen ready for him, and we got some fire waiting for him, especially with Bobby Jenks throwing the baseball the way he is. All right, let's check out our GMC player of the game. It is Cody Ross. All he did was go 3 for 4 today. A couple of home runs, a single, knocked in 3. Our GMC player of the game. So for my partner, Stone Pony, Steve Stone. Our director, Jim Angio. Our producer, Mike Leary. Our associate producer, Dave Ross. Our technical manager, Mark Harper. The executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. Also for the man